Good morning or good afternoon, good evening, and good day. And for some of you, good night. Listen, thank you for chiming in. Please go and hit that like, subscribe, share, and also hit that notification bell and hit all up in that left corner. I need you to subscribe, send this to your friends. I think a lot of people need to hear a lot of things, and that would be helpful. And I want to thank you for those of you that have subscribed to my channel. Just trying to adjust this. Those of you that have subscribed to my channel and have shared and have also hit me up, letting me know how these videos are helping you and how it is helping so many people that are close to you. Once again, go to that, hit that subscribe button, subscribe to my channel, Battles and Journeys, and hit that notification bell and go. And once you hit that notification bell, hit all so that you'll be able to see all the videos that I post. As you know, I'm very new to this. I need at least 1,000 subscribers. Please go and subscribe to this channel. That's Battles and Journeys. Also, I just want to share a few things because there are so many things that are happening in our world and in our church arena, and not just in the church, but in your homes. And so one of the things that I think is a hard truth is bad things do happen in good places. And sometimes good things happen in bad places. And that is a hard truth. Another thing that is a hard truth, people will always, at times, they tend to cover up for their leader. For some reason, people have gotten into man worship. They worship their leaders, and they end up really worshiping their leader more than they worship God. You should never worship a leader. Respect, yes. Reverence, yes. But to worship, absolutely not. You're not to worship a leader. And when our leaders, and they are human, leaders are human. We are all human. We make mistakes. But you know what I don't understand is people will lie first before they tell the truth. And then when the truth does come out, people still cover up for them. I never understood that. I never understood that we would, as a group of people, as humanoids, we would cover the perpetrator or the violator and not protect or even tend to or see about the person that has been violated. We would prefer to deem it as untruth. And even when it's found out to be true through so much confession, then we scale across it as if nothing ever happened. I want to say to those of you that have been violated in any form, whether it's abuse from a spouse, abuse from a parent, abuse from a family member, and I'm talking physical abuse, psychological abuse, emotional abuse, because abuse comes in so many different forms. Some think it's just physical, some think it's just emotional, but there are many people who are dealing with emotional scars, and they can't bear it. And sometimes they go off on the deep end simply because they don't know how to handle it and refuse to get counseling. For some reason, people feel like something is wrong with getting counseling, and it's okay to be counseled. It's okay to find a licensed counselor. But I'm somewhat discouraged because with the church, let me just say this. Now, I do not hate the church. I don't hate the church. I don't like the system, the cover-up system, the system that protects violators. I don't like that system. And I think the church, for the most part, is dated. And they're still trying to do the same thing the same way to get different results. And that's really insanity. I love the church. I love the true church. But I also think there are some changes that need to be made. So There may be people that think, oh, he hates the church. I don't hate the church. I grew up in the church as a little boy. I grew up in the church. My mother sent us to church. Now, she wasn't a church goer for many, many years, but she sent us to church, but she wouldn't go. But she made sure we had some type of foundation. And then when I can't even really say of age, but when she saw that I wanted to go to another church, she allowed me to go. And I was only 13 years old, but she saw that I was interested in what was going on. So let me just give you a little background. I'm the baby of 8. So all of my siblings are older than me. So when I went to a church that had young people of my age, then I enjoyed going there, and I was more inclined to participate. And I'm still friends with those people today. The ones that I went to church with that was my age. Some of them have their own testimonies. It hadn't always been bad. It became, pretty toxic later on as I got older. But in the beginning, it was a great situation. And I really thought by listening to that leader, and by the way, the leader is Cora Fells. She's Apostle Cora Fells now. She was pastor, then she was prophetess, then she was doctor, now it's apostle, doctor, prophetess, pastor, Cora Fells. And right there in Palatka, Florida, it was Grace and Truth, I think, Deliverance Ministry. I think now they've taken Deliverance off. I'm not for sure, but I think it's just Grace and Truth Ministries. Well, they probably should have took Deliverance off many years ago. And so I don't hate the church. I don't. I will correct. I will share what I don't like and what I feel need to be corrected. I'm not new to this. I'm true to it. And I've been very disappointed in it. The system itself failed me as a person. The system failed me. The system. So that's why it's important that we do not worship leaders. And regardless of how great a person seemed to be, we can't worship them. They're not to be worshiped. They're to be respected. I think when you cross over to worshiping a person, now it's you've crossed lines. We cross lines when we put the leader so far up on a pedestal and then cover up for them, not cover them, but cover up for them when they make bad choices, and it has a negative effect, impact on people's lives. I believe we should hold leadership and leadership should have some type of accountability, right? They want to bring us into accountability and counsel us and bring us when we've done wrong. Why can't the members say, hey, let's talk? Because, let's investigate this. Let's investigate it. Thank you very much. Let's investigate this, because once you start going from reverence to giving respect to worshiping a leader, you've stretched that thing too far. And then we don't think they can make mistakes, or we don't think they make bad decisions, or we don't think they, they are able to do bad things, and we don't call them into accountability. I think every pastor needs to be called into have some type of accountability. And I'm not talking about those that are over them. And I know people say, well, you're not to say anything to a leader yes, I am. If I go there and I pay tithe and I'm a member, I am going to question your action. And leaders don't like to be questioned. They say, well, don't question God. I'm not questioning God. I'm questioning you and the decision that you decided to make, right? So we have, for some reason, have crossed over. We've perverted. That's the word I've been looking for. When you go from respecting to worshiping a leader, that's perversion. It was never meant for us to worship a leader. I mean, why can't the leader give us the same respect? You respect me, I respect you as human beings, right? So I think it's important. I've seen a lot of mistakes. I've seen a lot of error that we've made in the church, and we put people on pedestals that should not have been put on. I mean, we just placed them too high. Some people think they are riding on a high horse. In actuality, they're on a jackass. They're riding on a jackass. And they look at you as, hey, Christine Parks. I don't have my glasses on. Yes. And so a lot of them, They toot their nose up and act like you can't question them. I remember being a part of that same church right there in Palatka. They said God didn't talk to you. They said God spoke to the leader. God don't speak to you as an individual. God speaks to a leader. But I have ears. I have a connection with him. You mean to tell me he's going to skip over me to talk to you about me? Man, we got this all wrong. And people will follow this. It's so occultish. The dynamics of it is very occultish. It's very cultish. And most churches that are speaking against the occult, they are more cultish than the occult that they're speaking against. Manipulation, control, domination. You know, we were never supposed to dominate each other. He said, I think there's four dimensions that we're supposed to have. He said, be fruitful, multiply, replenish, and have dominion. And that's dominion over the earth, not each other. See, that's where we fall into a problem when we try to dominate each other. When you try to dominate another person, you're supposed to have dominion in the earth, over the earth, the landlord. Are you landlords? Are you replenishing? Are you multiplying? Be fruitful, multiply, replenish, and have dominion. But where are we seeing that? We're trying to dominate each other and control each other. I've never seen anything like it. And it is church folks. We follow stuff like that because we like to be told what to do as a people. When do you become a critical thinker and not a crippled thinker? Critical thinker, you think things through and process it with your mind. When you become a crippled thinker, that means you allow someone else to think for you and make decisions for you. Now, if you were a child, that's one thing. You do that for your children. You think you make decisions for your children. For some reason, it looked like I'm looking down, but I'm whatever. You make decisions for your children. But when it comes to another adult, when someone tells you you can't do A, B, C, or D, and you have to listen to them, then that's where we have a problem, because I have a mind of my own to process. But then they'll make you feel a certain kind of way. They say, well, God ain't pleased. You mean God is not pleased with you trying to control me, the church I came from right in Palatka, those people are not even allowed to speak to me. They've been told I'm against them. See, the leadership says, oh, he's against us. He don't like us. It's not about us. It's her disposition, what she's done. And she pulls everybody else in. Yes, her name is Cora Fells, apostle now, Cora Fells, right there in Palatka, Florida. And I call names because I can no longer protect these people. I didn't talk about them, trying to protect them. Hey, yours truly, trying to protect them, but they didn't protect me when it was time for them to protect me. So what they do is they manipulate, they call in their crew, have church meetings, family meetings, and say all the things that they say, but they won't ever discuss or disclose what they did and what they did not do, right? So they'll grab your mind, and it's weak people. You are weak when someone can tell you, another adult, don't speak to that person because they don't like us or like me. You have a mind of your own. And when people come to control your mind, now that's witchcraft. Now you're talking about witchcraft in the pulpit. There's a lot of witchcraft in the pulpit because they try to dominate, control, and manipulate. So, I've seen all of that. I was there as a youngin', when I didn't do what they say do, or I didn't do what they thought I should do, and they get up and preach on me for 6 months. So now your whole message is geared to somebody because you're trying to control them and you can't. You know what's unique about this church that I came out, because I'm going to talk about her as well, because I will not cover her. Excuse me, I would not cover up for her. She's done a lot of damage for 30 years. I mean, I'm not just talking about not covering me in the GeorgeBloomer situation, or me and Michael Tripp in the GeorgeBloomer situation. By the way, I had a small conversation with Michael Tripp's mother. We talk periodically, right? She was very hurt by what happened to her son in that church, Grace and Truth. Well, grace and false, because to me, that's what it is. No grace, ain't no truth. Yes, you say you've experienced you can experience and affirm and confirm this level of church bullying. That's all they do is bully. Not all churches, but well, I don't know why, but they're calling. It says I can't talk now. I'm on live. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right. And so it is church bullying. It is the manipulation and control of it all. And they preach on you when they cannot control you. They'll find a message to fit what they want to say to you. And they're not even bold enough or have the guts enough to come to you and tell you how they feel. They rather wait till they get a crowd, get in a microphone, and then they preach on you. You know what I think it is, especially, well, male and female, especially with people become very bold when they get a microphone. I don't know what it is. Well, I think I know what it is, because they're too cowardice to come to you behind closed doors and say, hey, this is what, no, they turn a whole message into you. They're trying to control you and manipulate you and beat you, right? I think they become bold. I could be wrong, but I think they become bold and excited because they have this big, thick, long microphone right to their mouth. Maybe it reminds them of something that they're not getting. And they become excited and they become bold because it's thick, long, and hard right to their mouth. You can take that like you want to take it. But people build nerves when they get a microphone and they say all types of stuff that they would never say behind closed doors. Isn't that unique? Isn't that unique? Oh, I'm going to talk about it. I've been in this thing long enough to see it. I know yours. I'm telling you, they're good until they get a microphone. But that thing is long, thick, and hard. It ain't no lapel mic. It's right to their mouth. And they become bold. You see? I've seen people become so bold in a microphone, with a microphone in a crowd, they can't do what they need. A crowd to become bold. It emboldens them. But to me, they're cowards. It's a cowardice thing to do, to be able to say something to somebody across the pulpit that you cannot say behind closed doors or face to face with that person. You are a coward. It's cowardice. I know. It's a lot of bullying that's going on. We can't control you. I'm going to talk about you, and I'm going to, separate you from the people. I'm going to get the people to turn against you. You're crazy. You're insane. If you turn against somebody because somebody else don't like, it's insane. But we do it. We like to be controlled. We're easily led as a people. And I think we need to become critical thinkers and think on our own and start asking questions. That's what people don't do, because leaders don't like to be questioned. Ask questions. Why do you feel that way? What is it that you've done to cause them to respond the way they're responding? I can guarantee you'll stop a lot of leadership from doing some of the manipulative stuff. Well, they'll turn against you when you start questioning them. Why are they responding? Why do you think they're responding to you the way that they're responding to you? What is it that you did to them? What button did you push on them that you pushed for them to respond? Well, they're not supposed to respond. I'm human. I'm real grown, right? So you can't treat me like a child. So they'll take scriptures and they'll preach messages, and they'll do it for months until they think they can reach you or turn everybody against you. I mean, and leadership is supposed to cover the sheep, right? From the wolves. Well, not unless you're a wolf yourself in sheep clothing. And that's what happened at that then church, Cora Church. She was more interested in her name, more interested in not letting it out and her name being great than it is to cover and protect. As a job, at your job as a leader, as a pastor, you're supposed to cover. Hey, good morning. Speak your truth. Hey, Roxanne, how you doing? So your job as a pastor is to cover the sheep and to protect them from the wolves. Again, not unless you're a wolf yourself in sheep clothing. And that's how I felt. I was under a wolf in sheep clothing. And to this day, that lady do not like me. And I do not care. Type in there, he does not care. Because when it's all said and done, so stop being manipulated and controlled by these people. I would never be under someone that I can't question. You don't question the leader. That's the kind of stuff I heard back then when I was younger in that church, in her church. You don't question the leader. Yes, I do. God don't speak to the members. He speaks to me for the members. So now you've become God for the people or to the people. You have become God to the people. Man, I'm going to tell you, I've seen a lot of things and I can disclose and expose a lot of things, right? That's not why I'm here. That's not why I'm here today. Well, I am sort of. I'm going to talk about it. But I do need you to go hit that subscribe button and hit like, subscribe, and share this live and hit that notification bell. And when you hit that bell, hit all so that you can get all of the videos and all of the audios that I will be playing. Listen, I have lost my fear. I've lost my shame. I've lost the disgust of it. Well, let me say this. Once I've lost the shame of it, I was able to talk about it. When Daryl had me on his, did my interview, it freed me being able to disclose publicly what happened to me about the sodomy, about how GeorgeBloomer sodomized. Thank you, Daryl. I know you do. How George, and thank you. See, somebody got mad because I went on your platform because when I first did my video, somebody said, well, just the fact that you took your story on a platform. Listen, I got it out the way I could get it out. And Daryl was the only one who handled my story correctly. He was the only person that could have gotten my story out, right? Because everybody else, the first one, Larry, he couldn't do it because he had ties with GeorgeBloomer. There was a conflict of interest. And the other one, I won't even name his name, but he's unmedicated. So he didn't have the capacity to handle my story. He made noise around it and got attention to it. But then when I wouldn't allow him to do my story, then he started trying to inflict pain upon me. But neither here nor there, they've been proven to be unmedicated. So when you all saw me in the very beginning, I was very vulnerable. But those of you that know me, no, Daryl did a great job. Yeah, he did a great job. He did do a wonderful job. When you all first saw me on the scene, I was vulnerable. I was open. I was bleeding. I was hurting. I was still releasing the shame of it because I was still concerned about a lot of my nephews and nieces seeing it because they love me. Right? My family loves me. Some of my family heard about it. They became very angry. They became very upset. They said to me, had we known this, it would have turned out differently. And trust me, it would have. But I was trying to protect them. In actuality, I needed protecting because under that leadership, they said, you're not supposed to tell your unsaved loved ones. This is how they get you as a youngin'. You're not supposed to tell your unsaved loved ones about the things that's going on in church. But yet this pastor Cora Fells. This pastor was telling her unsaved children about who she felt like was against her. And then when you saw them out, they treated you funny and had attitudes. So she was preaching something, teaching something that she didn't even abide by herself. I found out later on through one of her grandchildren, they said, we heard your name ringing in that house, but you would go home and talk about me, but tell the other people you're not supposed to go home and talk about the church to your unsaved loved ones. Do you see the oh my God, do you see the hypocrisy of that? It is, Randall. It is a very shameful, hypocritical commentary. It's manipulation and control. But when you're young, you think, you're talking a teenager, 13, 14 years old. I'm in this groove and I'm loving God and I'm calling on his name and I'm standing shut-ins and I'm praying, I'm fasting, and everybody know that I'm different from all the other children. And we would go to school and be half asleep because we done stayed in church all night on Sunday and can't hardly get up on Mondays. They knew we were different, and they would say, oh yeah, they go to Cora Church. But we were so involved and engulfed with what we thought was God. But we didn't know we were being entrenched and developed in manipulation, control, and witchcraft. Because it's easier to control young people than I don't know. These adults kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs too. It's easy though to grab the attention of the youth because you're looking at an adult saying, oh, they're of God, they're godly, and I've got to obey them. And they're the one that's giving you the power, the influence that they have, right? To the point that my family sort of disliked the church because they felt like the church stole me from them. And they did. When it was holidays, that lady would get up and say, well, I know y'all, and would have on Thanksgiving and Christmas, we'll have a service in the morning or afternoon, and would tell us, well, if your family want to spend time with you, let them spend time with you at church. So now this whole separating you from the family as a youngin. You don't know as a youngin that your family is having a little hard time with it, but they see that they think you're doing a good thing, but they're really having a difficult time with it because they're separating you. We didn't spend Christmas and Thanksgiving with our families because we was in church that afternoon. And the thing that was said, if your family want to spend time with you, let them spend time with you in the church. I missed out on a lot of my family and childhood. Being a part of an occult, been a part of an occult that I didn't know was an occult. Absolutely stole me, but didn't do right about me. That didn't do right by me or the other young people. But it was the young people that those of us who our parents didn't go to that church, we suffered the most. Now, there are some of those that suffered with the parents in the church, but they were already controlled by. I should have probably put this on airplane mode. And I wonder, it was already controlled. They had been in this a long time, and they knew the backlash that comes from this leadership. She's still doing backlashing thing. I'm telling you, it's been 30 years, and this lady has still been trying to destroy me. And have been talking, saying stuff she doesn't even know to pastors to keep me from out of their church. It's so much I can tell y'all about this witch because that's exactly what she is. But we've been hearing that when we were young, but we didn't know. She was like, yeah, they calling me a witch and I'm not a witch. Well, eventually I found out the things that they were saying was true, but I didn't know. We had blinders over our eyes. But when the scales were removed, when the scales were lifted because we saw the backlash, then we knew everything these people were saying was true. All she wanted is that money. And she would get up and say all of that. People was giving their food stamps to her. They were buying her food before they would buy their children food. It wasn't a cult. It's cultish to this day because those people are still controlled by her. They see me in public when I'm there. They don't even speak. I don't care though. A real absolute, she's a witch in sheep clothing. And people pass who, because she is a person that will win you over by, you think she's telling the truth and she can dress. God knows anybody can dress better. Well, yeah, she can really dress. Y'all need to look at Cruella. And then there's another person, but she can dress and people look past the insecurities, because that's what it is. And they're looking at how at her older age, she doesn't look her age. She looks well. I've always honored her. But then I saw all the disrespect and the dishonor and how she smiled in my face, but tried and destroyed me behind my back. So I came from up under this type of leadership, which made me very disgruntled with church. I was weary and worn out with church. I moved away. I moved to Atlanta. But anyways, let me play what I came here for. It happens. Yours truly, it happens. It happens. You got witches in the pulpit, and they will try to control you, dominate you. And you know what else? They control the other leaders in that city, male leaders, not all of them. I can call one name, and I'm going to call it, that I know they can control, and that's Reverend Cora Flagg. They can control him. He stands on his own 2 feet. He's a mortician there. He has a wonderful church there. They've never been able to control Reverend Cora Flagg. Never. But I know she don't like him. But anyways, it's a damnable evil. It's a demoniacal evil in the pulpit. So the things that I went through, I hear you. Okay, yes. Thank you, Roxanne. It's a demoniacal evil, and it is a system that needs to be uprooted. It needs, and see, we're swinging at and trying to cut the fruit of it, what that tree produces, when we need to be laying an axe at the root. You can cut the fruit all day long, but if that root is not destroyed, that fruit is going to grow again. So we're taking hits at the manifestation of what goes on in the church. The manifestations of what goes on in the church is simply fruit, but you've not put an axe to the root. And that's this corrupt system. And that's what I'm after. I am after that system. And I can talk about it in details. I got a story to tell. I got stories to tell. It is cutting that root, putting an axe to that root, putting gasoline on that root, drilling that root with a drill and pouring kerosene, gasoline, diesel in that root to destroy that root, because the fruit will continue to grow as long as the root is in the ground. Cut the root. And that is the corrupt system of the church. And you wonder why, as a leader, people don't want to come to your church. And you say, well, people don't love God like they used to. No, they love God, but they don't care for any of the stuff that you're saying, because you've made church about you. They're more interested in getting followers of them instead of followers of Christ, making membership. Oh, Doc, I got 500 members over here, but how many of them are you teaching to follow Christ? You want them to follow you. And then you got these armor bearers that you're violating. You're calling them your spiritual sons. They cover you in the daytime and you cover them at night. You got your musicians that you tell, oh, this is my musician, and he plays the B3 organ, the Hammond organ. What other organ is he playing? Why is it that you got to have 15 armor bearers and they're all males and you're a male and you have a wife? Why is it that your armor bearer has to help you change clothes? He's a male, but you got a wife. Who helps you change clothes at home? Why that armor bearer has to carry your Bible? Do you need to go to a gym and work out so that you can be strong enough to carry your own Bible? Why do you need all of these things around you to make you feel important? Why are your armor bearer as a male handling your wet clothes, your wet underwear? You know they have an affinity towards you. You know that they love you, but you let them handle your dirty drawers, your wet clothes. But you have a wife, the first lady. She's really the only lady, because everybody else are men that you're messing with. And they're the ones that's changing your clothes. Why do you need that, pastor? Pastor, why are all your armor bearers look like Tarzan, swinging on a tree like Cheetah, and sounding like Jane? Why? But then you get up and you preach against bedroom organ. Yeah, that's true. Then you get up and you preach against the publicly what you're doing in private. You publicly bash the people around you, the people that support you. You're ministering to them in the wrong way. I know Bynum said no more sheets, but y'all got quilts now. I know. You publicly bash what you're doing privately. Why do you do that? You hurt people. But then you talk about gays in the church, but you're going home or at a hotel or in your car or in a park, where else? Or in your office, because a lot of things happen in that office after you preach and before you preach. You don't have secretaries, you have secretaries. The seconds and Terry. That's all I'm trying to say. You preach against what you're doing. Why? So it can take the light off of you? It's ridiculous. Lord, help us. Because we come to church to be fed and to be helped, not to be dicked and to be sodomized. Oh, Lord. And women, listen, you female pastors are doing the same thing. They're chewing, screwing, lipping, and lapping. They're taking communion. This is my body. Take it, break it, eat ye all of it. And they're doing the same thing. It's just not happening with men. The women are sleeping with little girls. Domination. The men are sleeping with girls and the boys. Have it your way. It's your cake and you can eat it too. But then you turn around and preach against that. And then you can't discipline the person you're screwing because you can't dick them and discipline at the same time. I know y'all don't like it and I don't care, but it is the truth. Oh, Roxanne, I'm so sorry I have to talk like this. And I know y'all haven't seen this out of me, but let me say this. Let me go back 10 miles back. When you all first saw me, you saw me in a vulnerable state. But those who really, really know me, they know I'm extremely confrontational and I am bold. I'll say things that you're thinking. Help the church. Help the church. It's heartbreaking. We don't come to the church to be abused. We don't come to church to get confused. I was confused. I didn't want to hear another preacher. I said, the person I trust is the person, people that you trust, they turn around and violate. You trust and they. And see, some of you women, you are, listen, you help perpetuate this foolishness. You married that man knowing he didn't like no puh. You knew that man didn't like no puh. And you married him because you wanted to be a first lady, and come to find out you was the only lady because the rest of them were gentlemen. You knew that man did not want any puh. Right? Because you thought your puh was going to change him from liking bull, the bull. And you married him knowing And now you're surprised when it's become scandalous. You're not really surprised. You act surprised because you knew that he didn't like no pull. And be okay with somebody. Now, if y'all got an agreement, that's on y'all, right? This is my belief. Now, I don't necessarily believe like the church has taught all along, because some of that stuff is just a bunch of old bull crap. Whatever y'all agreement that you all have, that's y'all agreement. But when you start stepping outside of the lines of what you've agreed to, then that's a problem. Don't act like you didn't know. And same way with the women. You listen, you married that man, you should have told him you like pull. And if he agreed to it because he wanted to have a great situation, if he agreed to it, then that's y'all agreement. But you knew you didn't like no D. You wanted pull. And you did it. And this is where the church, this is what I'm against. The church the leadership know what you like. Because like what you like, that's you. Just don't include other people. Don't try to persuade other people into what you like. Because be who you are, right? What I don't like is bishops and pastors telling their young men, you need to get married. Marry that girl. So people won't talk about it. We're going to call that deliverance. Did you say vitamin C and D? Yours truly, you have gotten me. Yours. Did you say? I probably shouldn't be looking at these comments because I get so tickled. Listen, they knew your proclivities. They knew your sexual appetite. But they tell you to marry that woman or marry that girl, or for the girl to marry that boy, so that it can look like something that is not. Just to cover up. And then we're going to call that deliverance. Oh, yeah, they've been delivered. Not realizing. See, stop making people marry. Stop causing people to push you into marriage. Don't let people push you into marriage. If you know that's not what you like and that's not what you want, because marriage really is not for everybody. If you know that's not what you like, don't get into it. Stop trying to fool people. See, when you stop trying to fool people, then you can live your life. Live it. Live your life. But this is what we come across. We come across these leaders pushing you into marriage when they know they had just finished screwing you, and they know that that's not what you want. But for the sake of how it looks, marry them. And we're going to call it deliverance. Oh, God, help us all. I know God didn't intend for the church to smell or look like this. I mean, I don't get it, but it has happened across the board. And I'm not here to smash the church. I'm here to smash a system, a corrupt system that have told our boys to marry a woman. And you know those boys didn't have that. That wasn't in them. You told our girls to marry a man so that it can look, it can look right. But these people have to live with each other, and it affects lives. And if they have children in the process, it affects them. If a relationship starts with a lie, it's going to end in a lie. All right. So let me go ahead and play this. Y'all there? Just let me know you're there. I'm getting ready to play this this clip. This thing, I tell you, virtue has left my body. That little boy said, I'm tired of this church. That little boy say, I am tired of this church, and it's true. Y'all can get me to walk into some of these places because you're present. You ready? Y'all ready for this? I want you to hear this because, so many people kept saying, they had their say on it, right? And there's just a lot of unheard parts of this conversation that people have not heard. And I want you to hear it. I just simply want you to hear it. Y'all ready? All right. Let's see where I'm supposed to stop and start. Work with me. Again, I'm new. I'm trying to find somebody that can help me with this. But until then, you'll be able to see. People kept saying, "Oh, I'm doing my story because this is how I want it done. I need to be able to talk about it. Other people done talked about it." And kudos to Daryl Moore. That's my brother. Kudos to you, Daryl. Thumbs up to you. Thank you for getting my story out. It was a sense of relief and a release. And the more and more, every day that goes by, I'm telling you, that shame just rolled off of me, right? So here we go. Thank you. And I told somebody, I said, I'm going to do it my way. When I finish doing my story, I'll be able to say, I did it my way. Y'all ready? Here we go.
All that. What was said to me, is that I took you and I raped you.
Nobody didn't say that. I was saying that.
I know. Battles, we're on the same side. We're having a conversation.
No, I'm just trying to say where they come from because I never used that word rape.
Right. Okay. But
listen.
This is the reason why. I know you did. Okay. But this is the reason why when they started talking back and forth, I said, I'll speak to him. I'll talk to him myself. I didn't just disclose or anything like that, because one of the things I'm gonna make sure, and I heard tonight your heart, and you can't telephone or no telephone. That shit can't be faked. Right there. Okay, I took something from you, and I want to restore you in terms of reconciliation. I want to do what's right by you. Period. And what I remember, what I don't remember, I don't give a fuck. That doesn't matter to me. But I want to have a discussion with you. And I'm not done with the discussion. Because in the discussion that we've had, it uprooted so many things from so many things that ain't got nothing to do with palatka or Fells or anything like that. It's a whole, am I confusing? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm not confused. I'm a big boy.
Yeah. There's a lot.
All right. So he admitted that, because in the beginning of the conversation, I was broken. I'll play that as well, but not now. I'm going backwards. I'm doing it like they do movies, that write it backwards and then go forward. He said, what I heard, you can't fake that. I couldn't. I broke. I literally broke when I heard his voice, because people don't get a chance to speak to their violator, right? And so what I've been holding on to, really, it was devastating for me. And I needed to know that my heart was clear. Did you all hear that clearly? Were you all able to really hear that? I just need somebody to respond, because, hold on. I just need somebody to respond, because I don't know if that came across clear. Were y'all able to hear that? Somebody say something, please, if you're still here. Clearly heard, but I want you to hear this. Hold on. I tell you, I think I was supposed to start at, I know where I was. Hold on.
Stuff like that. I do remember saying to you very, very strongly the statement that you made about homosexuals being in the room. I do. I remember that shit just like that. I remember it. I remember that conversation. I remember that, and it is something of Battles. You came out of a deliverance ministry, okay?
Well, that's the name. That's the name.
That's the name of it. But yeah, that's the point I was going to make. I was going to make that point. You came out of a deliverance ministry. I am a real deliverance preacher, and I wouldn't be able to sleep and spend time in the face of God if I remember shit and play like I don't. I'm not playing to the cameras. I'm not playing to the the homosexual thing, all that kind of stuff. Fuck all that. What was said to me? What was said to me is that I took you and I raped you.
Nobody didn't say that. Who said that?
I know. No.
I'm playing it again. Hopefully you can hear it.
We're on the same side. We're having a conversation.
No, I'm just trying to say where they come from because I never used that word rape.
Right.
I said sodomize.
Okay.
I suck. Listen.
This is the reason why I know you did. Okay.
Is that
this
better?
Is the reason why when they started talking back and forth and stuff like that, I said, I'll talk to myself.
I don't even know what
didn't
the speaker is.
disclose or anything like that. Because one of the things I'm gonna make sure, and I heard tonight your heart. And you can't telephone or no telephone. That shit can't be faked. Right there. Okay? I took something from you and I want to restore you in terms of reconciliation. I want to do what's right by you.
All right, so there you have it. I hope you heard it. I had the volume up all the way. I don't know how to make it any clearer or plain. So there is, even though he skated around it, and I'm gonna tell you, in the beginning of this conversation, it was very, it's a 2-hour conversation, but in the beginning of it, it was very heart-wrenching because I was so emotional. But as the conversation went on, like towards the end of the conversation, yeah, Roxanne says, if you're having problems hearing the conversation, just put earphones in. Yeah, earphones. As it got closer to the end of the conversation, I felt a shift and I started getting upset because all that he said in the beginning, he started watering it down and dwindling. And then, you know, I'm not saying what I don't. I don't want to get into what you remember and what I remember, and da 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 da. I just want to restore you, and I'm sorry. You know, I feel like I took something from you. Did. So in the beginning, it was very heartfelt. My heart was, but starting getting closer to the end of the conversation, or in between the middle and the end, I felt something else rising up in me. Because I heard what he was trying to do. So for those of you that thought my tears and cries were not real, even he said that cannot be faked. Yes, gaslighting. He started out here, but then as it got closer, he was trying to find a way not to admit to. But with all that was said, because you'll hear another part. You won't hear it today, but there are other parts. I was young. I froze in that room, and he knew. He was observant, and he knew I was afraid. But that room got so cold and his face turned dark. Now you got to remember, this is the GeorgeBloomer. He was, I guess, close to 400 pounds. So anyways, go hit that like, subscribe, and share button, and then hit that notification bell and hit all. I have a lot more to share. This is not it. You're right, Randall. Gaslighting. Trying to figure out a way to not to say. He just said, I don't want to get into all of that. He said he didn't do, when they told him what happened, he said he didn't get into any type of disclosure with them or anything. He wanted to talk to me because in actuality, he wanted to meet me. He was going to fly wherever I was and talk to me, and he wanted it one-on-one. Now, one of the things he said in the beginning was, I don't want anybody hearing this conversation. Who do you think you are at at my age now that you're going to try to control who hears this conversation, there were people there at their hearing this conversation, and you'll be surprised to know who was there. Hey, Roxanne, so what are your thoughts on that audio? I want to kind of go back and forth now, just a couple of minutes. Roxanne, what are your thoughts on that audio? What are your thoughts on that? What he just said? He wants to restore me. He said I couldn't. He said that couldn't be faked, right? That was authentic. Randall, what's your thoughts on that? On that clip you just heard? I mean, really comment on what you think about this whole live and what I shared. Hey, Rodney, were you able to hear anything? Somebody come and help me. Let's communicate just a little bit. I want to interact with you. What do you think? What do you think about the live? The things that I've shared, it's not going to change anything one way or the other because what I shared. It was my experience. What do you think about the listen, you're right, Roxanne. But you'd be surprised, Roxanne. Let me tell you something. I'll let you hear. I'll play it on another clip. I'll play another clip at another time. He doesn't want to restore. Well, that's what they thought I wanted. I want my voice to be heard because there's so many people out there that are hurting and have had these experiences with people, leadership, family members, godmothers, godparents, in all of them. Because he asked to save my number. What do you think that was about? You didn't hear it on this clip yet, right? He wanted to save my number. Asked me, could he save it? Very shifty. You're right. He was very shifty. Listen. Yeah. Yep. Hey, Rodney, how you doing? Yeah, he's very shifty. But there's some parts that if you listen, you heard. And why would you want to call me after 30 years and you forgot, you did forget. Because sometimes you forget when you've done so many people. When you've violated so many people, you forget all the faces that you violated. But he said, when Larry sent my picture to him, he remembered. Yes, Randall. You said, I heard the gaslighting and all it entailed, as much as the hoovering, which was an attempt to soften you and I guess you said suck you back into his grip. Yeah, that's exactly what I felt. That's exactly what I felt at the end. That's what made me get upset. I started getting irritated by it because he still, to me, was still trying to find a way to woo me in. And I've had to tell him several times, I'm not that little boy anymore. Yes. Yes. Is it done? I don't have my glasses though. Is it Duntrake? Yes. Sims. I'll just say Sims. Yeah, I think he was still trying to make me feel a certain kind of way. And I felt that damnable evil, and it made me upset. Yeah, it made me upset. I started getting irritated because to me, he felt like he could still try to woo me in. Man. So, well, yeah, but Lost Child, I agree. I think it was to soften the blow of, because my point, here's my question. If nothing happened, according to some of the bloggers, his friend, Larry Reed, if nothing happened, the question I would have to ask as a critical thinker, what was it about my picture 30 years later that made you remember the situation? He said, I didn't know. I said, no, I didn't do this to anybody. He said, but when they sent me your picture, he said, bam, almost immediately, I remember the situation. What is it that you remember? Oh yeah, Roxanne, that could never happen. I was young. That's why leadership, like the lady Cora Fells, she didn't like me because she couldn't control me. I'm very outspoken, as you can tell. Now, again, when you all first saw me, I was so vulnerable. I had never been in that space in my life. I was hurting. And just to make something clear, just to be clear, when I first talked about it, I came on Larry Reed's show and I talked about it because they had this conference, some pathetic conference that was going to happen in New York, I believe. And I was in the area at that time. And his guest that night, we had spoke. He told me he was going to Larry Reed. And I shared my experience. And I said, when I saw George Bloomer on that flight, it triggered something for me. I thought I was over it, but it really triggered something for me. Right. And I told him the story. He said, man, you need to call in. And I was hesitant about it. And I did call in. Larry knew exactly who it was. He claimed he knew it was somebody, but he knew exactly who it was. So when I started calling a name, he disconnected, but he really thought I called Cora Fells' name, but he really thought I was getting ready to call George Bloomer name. That's why he disconnected that call, because he knew who it was. That's why he said something. I just feel like something gonna happen tonight, something interesting. He knew exactly why I was calling and who I was calling about. He really thought I was gonna call George Bloomer's name, and you'll be able to hear that in one of our conversations. And that's why he disconnected the call. But he also removed the video because I talked about, you could look at his facial expression. He knew that I was going to call in by what he said, right? In the beginning of his call. It's neither here nor there. This is not about Larry. It's just about a system. And I said to him, you say that you are here to get the corrupt system, but you can't. How is it that you're going to destroy the system when you're a part of it? And that's exactly what I told him. You hear that as well. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Randall said, that's all a part of the game. Many play to get what they want, which is more participation or to get you to accept what has happened without telling others. And I can't see it. Besmirching their reputation. Well, listen, the reputation has already been merged. You can think about it, why he left his wife and nobody talks about it, or why the wife left him. That's neither here nor there. It's just a corrupt system, and I hate it. And I feel like I am the sacrifice, re-victimizing the victim. Absolutely. I feel like I was the sacrifice. I didn't like it. I wouldn't advise anybody to come and open up like that on a blog, on a platform like that. Talk about your story. But I wouldn't really advise it because I feel like it can become more injurious at times. I was very torn about it, but I'm glad that I was one of the ones who could talk about it. It took a lot of strength for me to talk about it. But it brought a lot of things to light. Yeah, they are, Roxanne. They're good at manipulation. And yeah, he had a wife. Yes, he was married during the time. George Bloomer was married. Yes, he was married during that time. He was with his wife. According to him, he had a wife. It is a corrupt system, and I'm trying to get to the root of it. I want to put an X to it. I know I got a lot of heat from it, and it's okay. I got a lot of heat from it. I'm not afraid. I'm not intimidated by no means. Those that really know me, I wish I could bring them on. They'll tell you you can't intimidate me like that. Oh, she left him. They're not together now. Oh yeah, he was married. And he was Shirley Caesar's associate pastor. He was Shirley Caesar's associate pastor in that time. Shirley Caesar got involved because they called her and they had him on a three-way. They called, it was the Pat, because Michael was the one. See, I wasn't invited to the conversation, but Michael, the then pastor, the pastor's daughter, Carol, GeorgeBloomer, and Shirley Caesar were all on the same line. It was on the phone because they wanted to know, because he didn't beat me, but according to Michael, he beat Michael with a belt. And so they had a conversation on the phone. And they asked George, why did he beat him? They said them, but I wasn't included in that. And he said that's what you call gay bashing. But this pastor turned around and invited him back. After all that she knew, she invited him back to preach. Then had the audacity to ask me why I didn't come to church. And told me, well, this is how she talks. You don't put those teeth, Brother Bells. The only reason I brought him back was because he's going to help me get some of the other big time preachers that I've been wanting to get to come to my church. It was a small town. She was the only one during that time bringing people in that had a name, right? Bringing them in, preaching at a church. And she wanted to be known for that. So she didn't care about what he just did to two of her boys in the church. She didn't care about that. She was more concerned about her name being big now and her name being popular, being known as the only preacher in that little small town to bring in, name brand people, because she went to all the conferences so that she could meet these people and bring them in. Now, she didn't meet them. She had somebody else to do it. Her daughter, Cora, would meet, talk to them or whatever. Because most of the meetings she went to, she would sleep anyways. She was dressed up and sleep. Her head would be like this. You see a hat, you look for her as a hat cocked to the side down. She would go to these meetings and sleep. Never brought anything back to the people that would help us. It was always the same humdrum. Yeah, let me tell you about me. When I got saved, blase, blase, blase. And, it was nothing ever refreshing. And we were confused. It's the truth, yours truly. We were confused about how is it that we can go. We went to Shirley Caesar Convention and E.C. Reams Conference and all of that. We were confused that we would go to these places and see these very powerful women and then come back to hogwash. You didn't bring any of this back. You couldn't learn anything because she was busy sleep, dressed up sleep. During the whole service. If you wanted to find it, because she could dress. Those hats were so big. Listen, those hats were so big and she could really dress, really. And she would go to sleep. You want to find her in a crowd, you see her hat tilted down like this. Sleep. Yes, yours truly way. Randall, I don't know. I'm going to tell you. I think because it was my father that was a liar. I hated a lie. I couldn't stand a liar. I'll tell on myself. I'll tell the truth. If I got to, it's better to tell on yourself so it takes away the power of people telling on you. This is the life that I have lived for 30 some years, right? I know I live with this pain. I can go over and over and over and tell you step by step what happened and how it happened. And that woman sent us to his room later on to stay there with him, and she denied it. No, I didn't. She will not tell the truth. The truth of God is not in her. I don't have time to lie. I am very consistent. I'm very adamant about it because I'm taking, there would be more actions taken, but you can give me a lie detector test. You say a female demon? No, that lady got balls. I don't know if you call that female. She only get balls when she get that hard mic in her hand. Hard microphone is hard, is round at the top, and it's long. And she become very bold. You can take it how you want to take it. People become bold with a microphone in their hand. And I think it's really because it's hard, long, thick, and it's right there to their mouth. And they tried to get her to talk to me. When my story came out, there's a bishop in that town tried to get it. He said, man, I could facilitate a meeting. I said, that lady ain't gonna talk to me. I know her like the back of my hands. She does not want anybody to know that this is what she did. And she said to people, I don't want to talk to him. He's trying to destroy my name. She has made it about her all over again. Has nothing to do with the pain and the hurt and the trauma that we experience. I don't want to talk. He's trying to destroy my name. You don't have a name. You in palatka. Church has never had more than 50 members, 50 adults. Children, yeah, should have turned it into a daycare. Kimberly, they do. That's a flaw that they have. People will tell a lie before they admit to the truth. It's better to tell the truth up front. I told Daryl Moore, I said this in our conversation in the beginning. All you need to do is tell the truth one time. If you tell a lie, then you got to think of the lie that you told so you can cover up that lie. Then what happens if you forget that cover up lie? Then you got to lie again. You get your lies mixed up. We see that on a certain platform. I don't even give credence to it. Well, it's a flaw that they have. And people don't see, Kimberly, the church teach you to lie. Let me say this. Parents taught us to lie when they told us to tell the insurance man that our mama wasn't home. That started there. My mama says she's not home. Very true, Randall. Narcissist. It's all about her. Yeah, he's trying to destroy my name. Lady, you got to first have a name to destroy. And the name you thought you had, your son destroyed it he was one of the ministers in your church, and he got caught up in 2 stings with prostitutes, and they were male dressed up as females. Let's go there. It's very scary, Roxanne. I don't really have much to do with it. They can't tell me nothing. I can call them out on this stuff, and I know their defense, and I can circumvent that. They will lie. They will lie. I will hear this. I will tell on myself to take the power away from you from telling on me. When they told her, oh yeah, he wrote my daughter a letter. He messaged my daughter, but you still ain't addressed. See, her mouth talked about me and tried to destroy me and tried to destroy my influence because I still have influence, right? Her mouth tried to destroy my influence. She talked about me, said some untruths. I mean, untruth, right? But that same mouth that she used to talk about me and try to destroy me, she wouldn't use that mouth to tell the people how her hand didn't protect us as our leader. She wouldn't talk about that. She didn't cover us. I'm not talking about cover up. We're talking about covering. Why would you invite a preacher back after he has sodomized 2 of your young boys in the church? Why would you, for the love of God, why would you invite him back and then expect for those 2 boys to come back and listen to that man preach? That's right, Randall. She could talk about me, but couldn't cover me when it was time to cover me. She was my covering, but instead she covered up. Who we talking about? Cora Fells in palatka. She's Apostle Cora Fells now. I'm not telling you to go harass her or anything because I think the people have done that. It's all about her. Yeah, he's trying to destroy my name. Lady, I'm hurting. I'm disclosing something that happened to me that you didn't, as a Christian leader, you knew of a sex crime and you didn't report it. That's going to be a getter there. You knew your boys came to you and told you about a sex crime that was committed to them from your guest preacher. And then you turned around and invited him back because he was going to help you get some of the other big time preachers that you wanted to come to your church. Roxanne, you're right. But then I thought about it. I said, now, if it was any of her grandchildren, she would have straightened that out. I'm going to tell y'all more about it. I can't talk about it right now. She would have straightened that out. Then I thought about it. I said, no, she had a grandchild that came to me and told me that he was molested by his uncle on his daddy's side, and they didn't do nothing about it. So I wonder if there was money in that for her. That she's the grandmother, but my thing is, y'all didn't do anything about it. So what was it about that? What are you hiding? Maybe, let me say this. I'll save it for another time. Virtue has left my body. Who touched me? Virtue has left my body. Now I'm going to be talking some stuff. She don't read a Bible. Listen, neither here nor there. She's for herself. She's a narcissist, and she will lie. Let me say something else, because I'm going to bring her on, not on my show, but I'm going to show you a video of her, right? Preaching a funeral. Let me say something else. I was going to say something. What did I? Forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, I mean, she's all about herself. Oh, let me say this. I know what I was about to say. During those times when I was younger, even 13, prior to me coming, it says a lot about a pastor. Let me just say this, and I'm going to be done for now. It says a lot about a pastor when 99% of the people that got married in your church, they went and got married in Georgia and didn't tell you as a leader. She probably had one person get married, maybe two in that church lifespan. It's old. It's a church that's been around for a while, but it's probably never had 50 adults in there. All started out children, and the children grew up, right? You have several people that got married, but they left and went to Georgia because during that time you can just go get married. It's almost like Vegas. You can go get married, cross that Florida line, go to Georgia and get married. Most of those people in that church got married and came back and told her they were married. You know why? Because she was against everything. She wanted full control of people's personal life. They wouldn't even tell her because they knew she would be against it. She was unmarried and was unmarried then, still unmarried. She's about 81, 82, but you can't tell it because she looks great. But she's got to live long enough to get some of this back. Karma is real. I remember people got married. Her own daughter got married, left, got married, and came back and told her because she knew her mother would be against her marriage, her wedding. And she silenced her. There's another lady got married, went to Georgia. Nobody told her. Even her son got married and wouldn't tell her until he got married, after he got married. Isn't it? Got married. This is your mother and your pastor, but you wouldn't tell her you was going to get married because you knew she would be against your marriage. She wanted to control who people married. She wanted control. She's a control freak. Manipulation, control. She wants to control your personal life. These people went to Georgia, got married, and came back and said, hey, we're married. She had two of her children to do that. Her oldest daughter, and when her oldest daughter got married, I'm going to talk about it, she couldn't reference him as husband or husband. She still had to call him Brother Baker. She couldn't do it in front of, she couldn't call him husband or baby or honey in front of her. She also had a daughter I don't care. I want them to share. I want them to see, because see, I was close to those people. I would be at her house, eat at her house when I was young. She also had a daughter who joined the military. She told me, she said, I'm going to the military. She said, because I'm not going to let my mama control me like she's doing the rest of them. Her daughter left and joined the military to get away from her mother's control. This is the pastor. People couldn't even tell her they was getting married because she would try to control that and stop that. Listen, be that it may, it's the truth. One thing about it, I'm not gonna say anything once that I can't say twice. I'll tell it on the mountaintop. I'll tell it on the red clays of Georgia, the red clays of Georgia, and I'm in Atlanta right now. That's manipulation, and you see that manipulation and control. You want to control who people marry, and nobody tell you that they're going to get married. They just go to Jordan and get married and come back and tell you because they didn't want to deal with your backlash and your foolishness. And her son got married. She thought her son was too good for the woman he married. Yeah. I was there when she was against everybody's marriage. All right. I'm going to name names. I'm not taking names later. You see the kind of manipulation and control. She's a control freak. It's witchcraft. She's a witch. When you want to control someone's personal life, who you talk to, who you can't. Right now, today, she got her church in a trance. They can't even talk to me when they see me in public because they've been given orders. If you for me, you for me. If you're against me, you're against me. That's her thing. Yeah, he don't like us. It is not about them. I've never had a problem with the members. It's always been the leader because she could not control me. And still to this day is controlling. You got a bunch of people following you. They're adults, real grown adults. And can't be seen talking to me or having a conversation. You know why that is? She's afraid that I'm going to share what happened. See, people only want you to hear one side. But the people that are there now, the older ones, they know about this story. Yeah, but she would. So here's the thing, Miss Rachel. She was in an abusive relationship, which is one of the reasons I believe she's abusive now. I watched her slap her oldest daughter because her oldest daughter was down there being with the husband that she ended up marrying, right? The guy that she ended up marrying. I seen her slap her grown daughter, I was probably 14, 15 maybe, in her face. Now, Mama, I love you, but if you hit me, my reflex, I'm not going to hit me. My mother's gone. My mother left 4.5 years ago. Could not tell my mother because I didn't want my mother dying with hate in her heart. It's very sensitive to me because it's been 4.5 years, but it still feels like yesterday. Yeah, so needless to say, let's move on to something else because I'm my mama's baby out of 8. It's 8 of us, and I'm her baby. And no, she's been married before. I think she got divorced, or the man divorced her in the 70s. But that's what happens. She wasn't, I think when she got married, she wasn't confessing to be Christian, but she was sleeping with somebody else's husband. And she ended up with him, and she had these children by him. And according to her testimony, he would beat her and physically abuse her all the time and didn't want her to go to church. And I remember hearing all the stories as a little boy, but I believe that's part of the reason why she is now. She has been traumatized herself. And so what she's doing, she is traumatizing other people. She never got any counseling for it. So now she's controlling because her ex-husband, who's now deceased, was controlling her. And now she wants control. She controls everything around her. At least she try. And if she can't control you, she try to kill you. I mean, not physically, but try to kill out your influence. Sims, I can't really say that, but I did hear. We used to hear that when we were younger. I won't, I won't bother that. But just about everybody she had come to her church were lesbians to preach. I'm not going to call any names because some of them I really enjoyed. Only one wasn't. I know for a fact she wasn't. Y'all need to go listen to her. And it's Apostle Anya Hall. She's an amazing woman. Anya Hall used to come to that church and stayed there briefly for a second, but then saw the control and boom, took your ducks and moved them to another pond. And she's the only straight woman that I know during that time that came there to preach. Apostle is Anya, Anya Hall. I love her. She knows me by middle name. Nobody really knows my middle name but my family or whatever, but she's sweet. I love her, and she really has a great heart. We've had our conversations about it, about all of this. So yeah. So I think a lot of it is, so you're going to have to go back. I'm sorry, I can't go back all over. We've been on an hour and 25 minutes. So we're talking about my then pastor, Cora Fells. It's the Apostle Cora Fells now. She done had just about every title that she felt was important because she'd never been an evangelist, never been a teacher. It was always prophetess, pastor, and then doctor. Now it's apostle. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, Shirley Caesar, did I tell y'all? So Shirley Caesar was on that phone call and they heard all of that. And you'll get a chance to hear some more conversations. But for now, I'm going to be done with it. I am writing a book, just so that you know. I'm writing a book and I'm doing as much as I can, as best as I can to get it pushed out. Larry Reed told me that my book wouldn't be successful unless I got together with GeorgeBloomer. That I need to let GeorgeBloomer help me. Who says that? You mean my sodomizer gonna help me with a book? Oh, Jesus. I don't know where these people get this from. Like, they said that they're spiritual leaders and all of that, but you're telling me to go to the person that sodomized me if I wanted to write a book? It's above me now. I don't know where these people get this. You know, they've been Christian leaders, but they don't. I don't know. That's not a recommendation I would give anybody. Get with your violator to write a book. And I'm not gonna make this live about Larry. He knew about this call. He knew about everything. He knew. But it's okay. I'm not here for that. I'm not here to go back and forth with people. I'm telling my story. And when I finish, I'll be able to say, I did it my way. On that note, hit like, subscribe, share, hit that notification button. I need at least 1,000 subscribers. I'm coming up. I'm new to this. So I need subscribers. Hit that like and subscribe button and share it. All right. I have to go. You can go back and listen to this. I think I got it set up. You can go listen to the live, the broadcast. All right. Love y'all. Thank you for your support. She sound like your childhood pastor too. These people about control and manipulation. One thing about it, I'll never sit under somebody that doesn't have any theological training. Yeah. Well, I mean, her pastor told her she wasn't a pastor. When she left her church, she got mad. And so she started a church. I'll talk more about this lady. I'm going to bring her up. And I'm going to show you a clip of her preaching at a funeral. It was nothing nice. All right. Thank you again for subscribing to my channel and listening to this. This is probably the longest I've been on. But listen to my heart. I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. Share this with people that you think that need it. If you feel led to, share it on your Facebook page. And I'm not concerned about backlash. I'm well prepared for it all. Listen, my last name is Battles. All my life, I had to fight. Peace out. Thank you so much again. Hit that like, subscribe, share button, and hit that notification bell and hit all. so that, yes, I'm doing it my way. So that you can get all the videos or whatever I release, you'll be able to get it and get that notification. All right. I did it my way.